This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. Top of the morning to you. This is Addul Ali, and welcome to Top of the Morning. Thank you for watching on Millennium TV 24 on Amazon, Roku, Apple TV, on your Samsung Smart TV, or you're watching us live via the Urban Conservative on Facebook, on Twitter, or on YouTube. As always, I am Addul Ali. Today is December the 16th, 2022. Joe Biden is still the worst president in U.S. history, and y'all, we have got a show for y'all today. I didn't do my adjusting, so let me do that real quick. But as always, jump in the comment section. Let us know where you're watching from this morning. Today, we're just doing a simple straight black cup for the coffee. Nothing out the norm. Actually, all the other coffee mugs are in the dishwasher. So shouts out to everybody jumping in the comments. Let us know, again, where you're watching from. We've had an interesting week, folks, and this morning, we've got some stuff to cover. The Taliban, Joy Reid is pissed off, and there's a bunch of good stuff going on in the news. But one thing I do want for the people in the Midwest and that are getting impacted by this winter weather, please, y'all, get out there, be safe. If you have to get out there and drive and that stuff and deal with it, please be as safe as you can. And yesterday morning, we gave a big shout out. We talked a little bit about the victims. You know how the left always tends to talk about victims, talk about the perpetrators of crime, but not so much the victims. And yesterday we covered the young thug jail stuff. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that this morning. We're gonna get into some of that. But the first thing I wanted to get into, y'all, look at this lady's face. Just look at her face. Okay. AOC has a movie. I don't know if any of y'all know this, but AOC had a movie, and the movie was actually a documentary called To the End. And I don't think anybody wants to see this movie, To the End. This is coming from the Daily Wire. The movie opened on December 9th at 120 theaters, but since then, according to Box Office Mojo, the movie has made $9,667. That's roughly $80.55 a screen. Now, let's just say the tickets are $16.25, like they are at the Regal Theaters. That would equate to fewer than 600 people who actually saw it. Maybe the thinking is people don't want to sit through another Stop the Climate Crisis. I have political courage, and me, and it's me, and I had it too hard coming up because it's me. Maybe people don't want to see a full 2 hours. Maybe it's preaching to the choir. Maybe the people that have seen it are AOC acolytes that really like her, you know. Good morning. We've got folks from Charlotte, North Carolina in the building. Big up to Charlotte, North Carolina. I know that whole Shanquella Robinson situation in North Carolina is out of control. We're going to talk about that next week as more things develop. I think they've issued a warrant for the lady. I heard the word femicide for the first time. I'd never heard what femicide is. But the AOC movie, she apparently, with this movie, thought she was going to do well with this movie, that somehow, I don't know, somehow she was thinking maybe people would want this. I found the trailer And y'all tell me, I'm gonna make this trailer. We're gonna look at the trailer together, and let's see what this actually pans out to be like. I'm gonna see if I can get us um, the AOC actual trailer here in a second. But the idea here is, it's a terrible movie. From what I'm reading here, it's not a good movie. I think I did find the trailer here. We're gonna give it a whirl here. So get bear with me a second here. Let's see if we can look at this trailer here, guys. Let's see what we come up with.
Fighting for change politically requires faith.
We are building an army of young people to stop the climate crisis and create millions of good jobs for our generation.
Everyone wants to talk about this dispassionately, but this is the world that I will raise my kids in.
The more centrist wing is arguing that they want to maintain the status quo.
Ain't nobody gonna keep us down.
This is going to be the moonshot of our generation.
Moments of crisis crack open the window of possibility.
We just climb that mountain.
Sometimes I feel like my job is to get my hands dirty. You're not going to trick us. Hell no.
Now is the time to leverage our power. We have tens of thousands of new people joining.
We just climb that mountain.
We're in the battle for the soul of the Democratic Party. Make them feel like they're going to lose their seats if they don't support this.
Just spread our wings.
As long as there are people that you can poison without consequence, there will always be a loophole that the fossil fuel industry can exploit.
It's possible to both decarbonize and keep equity and justice at the center. Oh, thank you. I'm not often called classy. Tell my mom.
The media is expecting us to fail.
Some of us have to actually live the future that you all are setting on fire.
We're going to make historic investments and we'll seize the opportunity.
We got the candidate that was nominated to come to us.
We're either going to go out in a blaze of glory or we're going to win what we want.
America has faced threats before and come out stronger.
You're one step away from success. That's when they want you to think you're the furthest. But you are close. You are close.
And higher and higher. We know how to fly.
Yeah, that doesn't make me want to watch it. It does not make me want to watch it. I don't know about y'all, but it doesn't give me any any kind of inclination that I want to go now see the AOC movie. It looks like a straight 2 hour preach to the choir, AOC hiking through the woods kind of thing. I just don't see a bunch of people anyway, a bunch of people with hard-earned money wanting to go out and see this AOC movie. It doesn't look good. I mean, I looked at this trailer just now as objectively as I could possibly look at it, guys. I don't see me shelling out 20 bucks to go see the AOC movie. I mean, and again, there's reports coming from the Daily Wire about this movie, and basically, it got an 83% approval rating from Rotten Tomato. But even there, the movie got some spotty reviews. To the End keeps its large canvas entertaining and informative. Even so, it preaches enough to the choir that this documentary can hardly serve as an introduction for those belatedly coming to terms with its central issues, which it seems to be like pushing the Green New Deal. And that was a review from Variety. Greg Gutfeld over at Fox said, The Five, at Fox's The Five, mused about the movie. He said, who would go see a movie that's the opposite of entertaining? There's nothing entertaining about that. But it does show you how great it is to be a progressive in a liberal biased culture. She really doesn't do her job, right? She makes movies, she goes to galas, she sits for glossy butt-kissing interviews in GQ and other women's magazines. Jesse Waters said that AOC might be popular in her highly liberal enclave in New York, but that does not translate nationwide enough. I think this is something that Waters said that's poignant. This is what politicians often get confused about. Just because you're popular in politics doesn't mean you're popular anywhere else. In fact, usually people that can't do anything else anywhere else go into politics to succeed, and AOC has found that out the hard way. The film features her hiking, but focuses on her whole life on social media. You never see her in private. Everything's in social media. Uh, I don't think I want to spend any money to watch AOC hike, y'all. I don't feel like 25, 30 bucks, plus the popcorn, because you're not going to go to the movies and not get popcorn, plus the popcorn to watch AOC hike up a hill and pontificate about how bad gas cars are, about how racist America is. Okay. And I noticed something. This is a very interesting thing. Is fake racial outrage that people on the left, am I saying that there's no racism left in America? No, I'm saying there are still people who were born at a certain time who still hold on to certain ideas. There are people who were raised with certain ideas. And I think by and large in our society, when we find clear cut negative racial discrimination, is what I call it, negative racial discrimination, we all kind of lock arms and stand together to fight against that stuff. I don't see in American society anyway how it's gotten any racially worse. So I think instead of going with the race thing, they went with the climate change thing. But I would simply ask, how's Obama's Cape Cod mansion that's supposed to be underwater by now? How many is Plymouth Rock underwater by now? Because I remember them saying, if we don't do something now, in 5 years, the world's going to be under the ocean. Don't buy any coastal property because your property is going to be swallowed up by the ocean. It's one thing I heard the other day while we're talking about this global warming thing. I don't know if y'all know who Randall Carlson is. Randall Carlson pointed something out, folks. It ain't global warming you got to worry about. It's global freezing. It's global cooling that you're going to want to worry about. Remember that last thing, that last ice age, how that had a little bit of impact on the human species, that little ice age thing. You want to be mindful, right, folks? We want to be mindful that as we talk about this stuff, we look at AOC's failure, this movie failure she had out there. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible movie. From what we just looked at the trailer. If you're just coming on board, it doesn't look good to me at all. Not something I feel like I should be investing my hard-earned dollars in. I just don't see how giving AOC any money is gonna, do anything. Another interesting thing that came up, and this is real interesting. We talked about the border a couple days ago. We talked about the border and what's happening at our southern border, folks. It is beyond unconscionable that you have a president, sitting United States president, was 30 miles away from the border the other day. Okay, 30 miles away. What is that? A 35, 40-minute drive for the president? What is that? A mile every 30 seconds because they're beating it down the highway at 100 everywhere they go. Does the president? Anybody jump in the comments? Does the president have to do the speed limit? Is that a thing? I'm not sure about that. But the idea here is that your own United States president was 30 minutes from the border and decided that going to the border was not important because there were bigger and more important things to do. I didn't say it. He said it. I don't know if y'all saw that interview. The president of the United States said there's bigger and more important things to do than securing our border, securing our country. The three things I think that make a country are languages, cultures, and the border. Gotta have a border. So it's bad when you have Democrats coming out try to help Republicans and tell them how bad the border is. And this was on Don Lemon. Just check this out. Don Lemon has a guy on here, and he's going to tell us what it is.
DHS is warning that if Title 42 ends, right, next week, it will likely increase migration flows immediately. How's that going to impact your community that is already under stress?
Well, it's going to have a huge negative impact. And as you know, these immigrants, we don't know. Some of them may have infectious disease. Some may be criminals. We'll get a mixed bag of them. Many of them are honest people that want to come here and work, but we have a mixed bag of things. And none of them really want to stay here in our area. They're all moving north to east or west to other municipalities. And it was always a concern to us when they come into our airports or our bus stations, to our neighborhoods, when such large numbers, it presents a logistic problem. And, thank goodness we have some non-governmental agencies that have been assisting with this process, but it puts a burden on not only cities, but all our federal agents. And we're going into a holiday season that hopefully our people that are entrusted with protecting us will spend some time with the families. But if this Title 42 is lifted, then it's going to be all hands on board, everybody working. It will really be a nightmare. I think everybody agrees with that.
Well, there you have it. A Democrat judge, Judge Richard Cortez from Hidalgo County, Texas, telling you straight up and down what's going to happen when Title 42 expires. It's going to be a nightmare. When you have Democrats telling you, yo, we got to do something different, this ain't working, y'all ought to take heed to that. And that's a Democrat judge telling you the border, you can't have uncontrolled immigration. You can't have it. It's not going to work. It's not how you maintain country's sovereignty. That's not how you treat these people with respect. And I mean, where's the media at now about all the kids in cages? Haven't heard much about the cages and the kids lately. Wonder what that's about. Especially considering the fact that there are currently kids in cages. Currently, more people have illegally come into the United States under the Biden administration than ever before. Look, you don't gotta like Trump, but you gotta admit the policy was working. And then you have, and I can pull up story after story after story of people who were criminals brought into this country, who have done dastardly, heinous crimes, been let go to go commit another crime. People who are in this country illegally, when the China virus was prevalent, you had people just bussing folks out. And then you have, I mean, just think about this. The fact of the matter is, we're talking about the Democrats wanting to have a new class of underinformed voter, somebody that they can give free stuff to that'll vote for them. Right? That's essentially what we're looking at. We're looking at Democrats wanting uncontrolled immigration because they're losing their grip on the Hispanic vote in America. They're losing their grip on the black vote in America. More and more people are going unaffiliated, which bodes well for the Republicans, which is something they don't want to see happen. You got to ask yourself a question. Who benefits? Who benefits from massive amounts of people surging over our southern border? Who benefits from that, if not the Democrats? Okay? Who benefits from that? And let's just be honest. We're talking about a crisis, and here you go. You don't got to take my word for it. This is something CNN did this. Look at this.
Sustainable, and they expected the situation here. And officials on the other side of the border, who we've also been speaking with, Jose, they in El Paso, they say they just do not have the resources to deal with this many migrants, and they say it's unsustainable, and they expected the situation here to get even worse with a bigger migrant influx potentially next week as Title 42 is lifted. And Jose, as you can see, I'm still walking here. This line is still not over. But, we have seen them. What happens here at the front of the line is that every few minutes, actually every half hour, an hour or so, it depends when they let those 10 to 15 migrants in, buses are brought here to then take them to a processing center. And again, Jose, those processing center, U.S. officials say, are already strapped for resources. And one of the shelters here, they just don't have the space for them. Some of these migrants are having to sleep outside in the freezing cold overnight. Jose?
So there you have it. We can't make this up, folks. The stream of people coming into the southern border is absolutely unconscionable that you would treat people this way. Absolutely makes no sense. Well, folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break right here at the 20-minute mark. You're checking out Top of the Morning. Grab yourself a cup of coffee. We got more news, more stories to cover coming your way. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. All right, folks, welcome back. Top of the morning to you. Addul Ali here. Hope you got yourself a good cup of coffee. Again, today is December the 16th, 2022. Joe Biden is still the worst U.S. president in history. And we are kicking it this morning. We got a bunch of stuff to talk about. We talked about AOC's failure of a movie. Talked a little bit about the border. But one of the things we definitely need to talk about is apparently Joy Reid is all triggered up again. I can't stand, first of all, I don't even like Joy Reid's face. Like, it's something about her face that irks me. I don't know what it is. I'm not trying to be uber judgmental here, but it's just her face. She's got like that lefty, jargony face. And I just don't understand it. Like, how they put this lady on TV to pontificate is beyond me. But apparently, she is all freaked out about Twitter now. And in her mind, she had a meltdown on her show, apparently. So I like trolling Joy Reid. So we're gonna take a look at this Joy Reid interview and see what she's talking about, running her yaps about.
Trying to bile off of Twitter as much as possible was the company's Trust and Safety Council, which consisted of 100 independent civil, human rights, and other organizations created back in 2016 to combat hate speech, child exploitation, suicide, and other virulent problems.
You did not just say combat child exploitation while you simultaneously support drag queen story hours and libraries. Girl, I'm gonna need you to cut it out. Look at your face. Like, you can't even take yourself seriously, lady. You can't. Just look at your face.
Problems related to the platform. Well, that was the case until last night, when Elon Musk disbanded the group shortly before they were set to meet. When Musk bought Twitter, he promised advertisers that it would not turn into a free-for-all hellscape where anything can be said with no consequences. Yeah, well, since he took over, that's exactly what it has turned into. Which, while he claims to have cut the number of times that users view hate-filled tweets, the Center for Countering Digital Hate has found a notable boost in the number of tweets that use slurs. Now, as you can see on the screen, there are 4 words, none of which I can say on TV, even on cable, that have jumped in usage, one as much as 200%. Musk promised that hate speech would be max deboosted, except, according to the Center for Countering Digital Hate, that has not happened. High-profile, high-reach tweeters who just so happen to share conservative political perspectives have had wide leeway to promote hatred toward LGBTQ plus people. In fact, some of their tweets were viewed millions of times. This is the new old normal for Twitter, because the goal, apparently, is to get back to the days when Twitter was the Wild West of anti-Semitism, homophobia, transphobia, racism, and disinformation. This free flow of unbridled hate speech is...
How does a person put all of the buzzwords back to back like that? It is a physically amazing thing to witness someone put that much, right? Putting that much jargon into one conversation. That many buzzwords back to back is amazing. She is the new buzzword champion. She got the racism, the homophobia, the genophobia, the xenophobia. She got it all.
Is now the premier location for radicalizing millions of people across the globe and either ritually abusing or chasing away those they disagree with, including the former head of Twitter's Trust and Safety, the moderation guy, who's now in hiding because Apartheid Clyde keeps attacking him on Twitter.
Well, let's talk about this real quick, folks. So just real quick, hold on. Does the left have any room to talk about not engaging with people who see things differently from them? Remember Auntie Maxine's whole diatribe about not letting people sit down comfortably and have dinners, and you see them in a restaurant, push back on them. Do y'all remember that? Do y'all remember all of the hate speech that was coming out? If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong here, but it was Antifa out burning things down. It wasn't conservatives out there doing that. If I'm not mistaken, it's people on the left who have been the ones that have not been open and willing to engage with ideas that they don't necessarily agree with. So Joy Reid is way off the mark here. I mean, and look, here's the other thing, right? It's always been an interesting thing to me how black people could use the N word, right? But get mad. I mean, and I see how close my freckles are together here. I know a lot of people who use that word that fly it all the time. The N word is like water. So it has always been weird to me how we could get offended. Somebody else used the N word. Yeah, but you use it all the time. And so, all right, let me just give you this. It would be disingenuous to sit here and act like there aren't racists on the right. Okay, I experienced it myself. Y'all say, well, what do you mean you experienced racism from the right yourself? Well, when I ran for city council down in Kannapolis, let's just say there were some folks that were none too thrilled with a guy with the name of Addul Ali. We don't need no Muslim. We don't need no Muslim running for Kannapolis City Council. We need somebody with a good old American name like John or Jim or whoever the person was that was running. They even went so far as to Photoshop me onto a camel, which I thought was hilarious. It took me a day or two to really like let it sink in, but it was absolutely hilarious that somebody took that amount of time to Photoshop me on a camel, and I think it was Lawrence of Arabia. I wasn't smart enough to keep the screenshots back then. But this idea that Twitter has now become the hate space and you could just go on there and this, it's not what's happening there. It's not what's occurring. That's not what's going on. But I do think, look, at the end of the day, it's not the right that doesn't want to engage in free speech. It's not the right. It's definitely not the right. I don't think it's the people on the right. Okay, I just don't. Here's an interesting thing that just came across. I got to share this with y'all. So we talk about this country and how good this country is and how this is just a prime example because people always compare us to Switzerland or to the Netherlands or to one of these, these Nordic countries that have this really small population and then they don't really, they don't intermarry. It's like these really pure bloodline countries, but we're always compared to different countries. And I just want this is an example. Could you imagine this? In the United States, New Zealand banned cigarette sales to everyone born after 2008. So you can't even get a pack of cigarettes. The new laws are aimed at eliminating most smoking by 2025 and slashing the number of licensed tobacco retailers. So if you want to smoke a cigarette in New Zealand, you can't. Dig that. How's that for freedom? How's that for individual liberty? You've got to be kidding me. When you say I wouldn't want to live in New Zealand. I don't smoke, but if I did and I wanted to have a cigarette, what the hell is the government doing to tell me I can't have a cigarette? How crazy. I can't make this up. Look. Y'all want to ban cigarette sales to everyone born after 2008. And y'all tripping about the little rules and regulations we got here in this country. Get you a driver's license. Make sure you have some insurance. Be 21 to buy some cigarettes or some alcohol. Basic stuff. And once you hit 21 in America, it's pretty much the world is your oyster. If you want to roll into Walmart, get yourself a pink tutu and a pair of roller skates and skate down the block singing Dixie, you can do that. Can't do it in New Zealand anymore, though. You can't get yourself a pack of cigarettes, so you'll be missing a part of that in the New Zealand side of things. But folks, it's a crazy time we're living in. Government's trying to tell people what they can do, when they can do it, what they can put in their own bodies. I mean, we got to pay attention or stuff like that's going to start happening here. Hey, Stuff like that is going to start happening here. Okay. Just another. We had talked this week. That is a terrible segue, but whatever. We had talked earlier this week about TikTok. And the United States Senate has passed legislation on Wednesday night by unanimous consent to ban the Chinese social media app TikTok from U.S. government devices amid national security risks. So, what that means is that if you are a government employee and you got a government phone, you will not be on TikTok. This is coming from a report by Breitbart that the United States Senate passed that legislation by unanimous consent, approved by Senator Josh Hawley's No TikTok on Government Devices Act. The legislation would ultimately ban the Chinese social media app or any of its successors or services developed or provided by ByteDance Limited and any entities from the company. Of course, the legislation offers exceptions to any law enforcement activities, national security interests and activities, and security researchers, as long as the said agency develop and document risk mitigation actions for such use. In 2020, under Donald Trump, the administration tried to ban TikTok, but it resulted in the Chinese social media app's parent company divesting the platform to an American company, as previously reported. TikTok is a Trojan horse for the Chinese Communist Party. It is a major security risk to the United States, and until it is forced to sever ties with China completely, it has no place on government devices, said Hawley in a statement after the bill passed. States across the U.S. are banning TikTok on government devices. It's now time for Joe Biden and Democrats to do the same thing. I think, and you got the FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr calling for TikTok to be just banned in the United States over privacy concerns at large. But I think you gotta, you gotta take into consideration Chinese people. The Chinese Communist Party is not our friend. Maybe the Chinese people, and you see them rising up against these draconian COVID measures and all that kind of thing. Chinese people probably great, but the Communist Party, not our friend. Not one person in the Chinese Communist Party has, at least as far as I've been seeing in the media, is American friendly. I don't get the vibe that the Chinese Communist Party is and the more telling thing about this is, if y'all saw the hearing, couldn't get a straight answer from the CEOs, from the people, the executives that were testifying before Congress. How many people in the TikTok company are over at ByteDance are part of this? Well, we don't know. Yes, you know. And you know that there are people, how stupid do you have to be to think that the Chinese Communist Party would not put some sort of spy, somebody inside of the company? How stupid do you have to be? I was born at night, not last night. So I think, TikTok definitely, TikTok definitely, and it should not be allowed on government devices. Now, hey, you guys want to do that? You do that. You want to TikTok your life away? Feel free. I've done TikTok a couple of times. It ends up becoming like a really, really rabbit hole, like a really deep rabbit hole that you go down. So, I personally am not a big fan of the rabbit hole that becomes TikTok. We're going to take a quick commercial break and come right back. And we're going to talk about the Taliban, because apparently the Taliban is using some stuff that they shouldn't have. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Top of the Morning. Don't go nowhere. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description. Welcome back to Top of the Morning, folks. Addul Ali here. December 16th, 2022. Your man Joe Biden is still the worst president in U.S. history. Hope you are enjoying your good cup of coffee and having a good morning so far. As always, please jump in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from so that we can get you a shout out. And if there's a comment, a story you'd like us to cover, please send an email to tuconservative@gmail.com. We'd love to cover something here. If there's a guest you'd like to see on the morning show with us, let us know. We definitely will work to make that happen for you. So, as you all know, the Biden administration has been an epic failure. I think epic might be too much of an understatement. Colossal failure, humongous failure, gargantuan failure comes to mind. There's some not too savory words I can probably throw into the mix there that would define what this administration is doing. But we all know that this withdrawal from Afghanistan, right? This withdrawal that left 13 Marines dead and so many others stranded there was an absolute failure. Okay, absolute and total failure. Now the Taliban is using U.S. military equipment. It's there. I can't make this stuff up. The Taliban is training and operating with U.S. This is according to Judicial Watch. Okay, it's not like Judicial Watch is unreliable. Okay, Judicial Watch is reporting that the U.S. Taliban uses military equipment. The IG withholds records of Afghan security forces collapse. The Taliban is training and operating with U.S. military equipment, including rifles, trucks, and helmets with night vision mounts, since the Biden administration withdrew American troops from Afghanistan last year. Taliban forces even held a military parade with dozens of U.S.-provided armored vehicles and M17 helicopters flying overhead, according to a federal audit documenting the collapse of the American-funded Afghan National Defense and Security Forces. For 2 decades, the U.S. government spent a mind-boggling, if y'all ready for this number, $90 billion to help develop in the Afghan National Defense and Security Force, develop into a self-sustaining force capable of combating terrorist groups like the Taliban, but that never happened. When the Biden administration withdrew U.S. troops in August 2021, that security force crumbled and the Taliban took over, generating images and videos of soldiers wearing U.S.-provided clothing and brandishing U.S.-provided rifles. Taliban units now patrol in pickup trucks and armored vehicles, likely procured by the U.S. and provided by the security forces. And this is from a report published by the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, SIGAR, which was created by Congress to provide independent and objective oversight of the Afghanistani reconstruction projects and activities. The 43-page report, which has 17 pages of endnotes, was released to the public earlier this year and determined that the single most important factor in the collapse of the Afghan force was the U.S. decision to withdraw military forces and contractors from Afghanistan. There you have it. So Trump was absolutely right. Trump was 1,000% right. You got these people, you got these folks, okay? You got these folks who decided, these generals or just whoever was advising Biden, to leave the stuff there. And exactly what Trump said is going to happen. They're going to use those things against the people, against their own people. Now look, I know a lot of Muslim people. I know a lot of Muslims who are culturally Muslim. They're moderately Muslim. That ain't the Taliban, bro. These ain't the moderate folks. These ain't the American-loving people. These ain't them. If given the opportunity to attack American forces, they would do it. If given the opportunity to get a long-range missile or something that they could use to inflict damage and hurt on us, they would absolutely 1,000,000% do it. And here we are with the President of the United States running around when we have barrels and billions of barrels of oil right under our feet, begging Venezuela, begging the Saudis for oil, leaving behind billions and billions of dollars. Okay, Trump was absolutely right. Hey, you fill it up with gas, you drive it to the thing, you get it to a boat, and you get it out of there. You don't leave the equipment on the ground, and you definitely don't leave your people on the ground. But that's what's happening. You literally have the Taliban training with the stuff we left back there. And that's Joe Biden's legacy, folks. That's all Joe Biden, Kamala Harris's work. That's all they're doing. That's all their handiwork. Nobody else to blame. We can't put Trump on that one. And I dare say Trump wouldn't have did it like that. Okay? If you've never seen the difference between how they received Biden in the Middle East versus how they received Trump in the Middle East, that ought to tell you something. It ought to tell you who got the respect and who has the, I dare say use the word fear, who has the fear of people. Okay? So I think we need to look at who in the world is going to be. Let me just put it this way. I think the biggest thing we could do right now is basically let them handle it. Don't go back over there. Don't risk no more American lives. I think people are going to, like you see what's happening in China. Even the Chinese Communist Party, we got to remember the government ain't but so big. So there's only but so many people. When the people get fed and they start fighting back, that's when you start seeing change happen. So we knew this was going to happen. We knew people were going to end up, people were going to end up using what we left behind there. Doesn't make any sense to me that we would leave all that stuff behind. But folks, what about the Biden administration makes any sense? It's just like this. This is absolutely 1,000% ridiculous. We've got our girl, Karine Jean-Pierre, okay, talking about Republicans aren't wanting to secure the border. Y'all aren't gonna believe this when you hear it. I promise you, you're not gonna believe this when you hear it. But this is what she's saying. Check this out. Let's listen to this.
We continue to see political stunts from many Republicans out there, and that's not how we're going to fix this issue. They want to secure the border. We've been doing that work on our own, and we're asking them to, hey, you know what? There's an immigration reform plan that the president put out on the first day. We're asking them to, hey, you know what? There's an we're asking them to, hey, you know what? There's an immigration reform plan that the president put out on the first day. They should work with us and do this in a bipartisan way.
Are you serious? This lady cannot be serious. This is the hypocrisy we're dealing with, folks. It doesn't make a shred and an ounce of sense to say that Democrats have been working to secure the border. In what fantasy planet have Democrats been working to secure the border? That doesn't make any sense. Absolutely no sense at all, folks. But this is why we're here, to help keep you informed, to let you know they're trying to sneak it over. There's no Democrat trying to help secure the border. We got a couple of comments in the section. It said, interview Damani Bryant Felder. All right. I will look him up. Let's see if we can do that. Shout out to Julie Atkins. We'll definitely try to look him up. So we gotta, folks, this weekend while you're out enjoying time with your friends and families, just remember what's at stake. If you're not informed, if you're not aware of what's happening, don't let these people pull fast ones on you. Other thing is gaslighting. Right? It's like people, the people on the left only know how to gaslight. You know, it's a serious. The border issue, the Afghanistan issue. We're talking about these the moral decline of the country, the decrease of common decency. Just on your everyday rounding, your everyday travels. Think about how many times people say thank you when you hold the door. Think about how often you hear good news on your news station, right? And just think about that. We just got to return back to common decency, to being good people, and that'll take care of it. Last thing we're going to talk about, and we covered this yesterday, is your man Young Thug was back in court yesterday. So here's the thing, right? Hip hop has always been violent by nature, okay? Hip hop has always had this element of danger to it. And yesterday, you see these rappers who are taking the millions of dollars they have. Some of them do some good things. They go in the community, they try to help people, they buy turkeys. It's always some good stuff that people try to do. But do you really get credit for that good stuff if every song is about how you're going to clap somebody, how you're going to kill somebody, how you're going to be help someone's wife practice infidelity, how you gonna treat somebody's daughter like a stripper. I mean, not all rappers on that, but a good ton of them are. And when you look at what's happening in Atlanta, you look at the young people that are dying there, right? So Young Thug appeared yesterday before a Fulton County judge, his first appearance in months. The rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, is more than one of 24 people arrested in a sweeping gang indictment. He's accused of being one of the founders of Young Slime Life, an alleged criminal street gang that prosecutors say is behind murders, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, and armed robberies. Williams' fellow rapper Gunna, who's 26, other people prosecutors say are associated with YSL were arrested in May on RICO conspiracy charges. The prosecutors argue that YSL actually stands for Young Stoner Life and is a record label. Thursday marked Young Thug's first appearance since his initial arrest in May, and the day after, a fellow Atlanta rapper accepted a plea deal and was released. He flashed a smile and waved to his family and friends as he entered the courtroom. His lawyer, Brian Steele, was hoping to not only get a bond for his client, but to argue several motions dealing with evidence and statements made ahead of the trial, which starts on January 9th. During Thursday's hearing, Steele argued that the evidence seized in the search of Williams' home in 2015 during an earlier case should be suppressed because warrants were either invalid or didn't exist. They seized marijuana, computers, cell phones during that raid. Those phones, his lawyer said, and they have information that led to the indictment. I challenged the initial entry, and I watched this trial yesterday. Let me tell you, he got his money's worth for a defense attorney. He definitely got his money's worth for that. But are we going to sit here and say there's one element of the hip-hop community or the minority community that's like, yo, free Young Thug, free? Okay, but free him to do what? If these people are out there terrorizing neighborhoods, why are we acting like this is a good thing? If these young people are using their money and their influence, what good is it if you help one young person and you say, yeah, well, I'm trying to show people the right way and mentor them? Yeah, that's cool, but you're also putting drugs on the street. You're also armed robbery. We're not going to act like we don't see the murders that are happening, the rappers that are dropping like dead flies. What's his name? XXXTentacion and all of these rappers are dropping like flies. But y'all want to keep promoting this lifestyle. Y'all want to, and look, it's crazy because you just go watch any rap videos from the last 5 years and you'll see exactly what it is. And our generation fell to it. We had the gangster rap and all of that. But this is taking it to a whole other level. So we're going to keep our eyes on this case and kind of talk some more next week about what this means for these communities that are being impacted by these rappers and by these people that are promoting this negative lifestyle. So folks, I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I want you to enjoy yourself this weekend. Be safe out there. If you're in the Midwest, western part of the country, y'all are expected to get some snow. So please be safe in your travels out there. Remember to tell your friends and family you love them because you never know when the last time you see them is going to be. My name is Addul Ali. I hope you have a great rest of the day. This has been Top of the Morning. This season of the Urban Conservative Podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description.